In the world of high finance, there are these tools so powerful they can bring down giants. They're all out in the open, but their real power, their real danger, is often hidden. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of derivatives and uncover the risks that even the smartest people in the room can miss.
Just let that sink in for a second. We're not talking about your average investor here. We're talking about the biggest, most sophisticated players on the entire planet. And they are losing absolutely staggering amounts of money.
And that's the real question, isn't it? I mean, I've got the supercomputers, the PhDs, the best models money can buy. So what are they getting wrong? Well, the answer is hiding in plain sight, in what derivatives actually are.
To really get what's going on, we have to look past that boring textbook definition and see what these things actually do out there in the wild.
Okay, so here's the key difference. The textbook isn't wrong, but it completely misses the point. The reality is, a derivative is basically a risk transfer machine. It's like a game of hot potato with financial risk. It moves the risk from someone who doesn't want it to someone who thinks they can handle it, usually for a price.
And this right here is the most important thing to remember. The risk doesn't just disappear, it just gets passed along. And if you're not paying super close attention to where that hot potato went, it has a really nasty habit of coming right back to you, often way, way hotter than when you passed it on.
So if the risk is just being moved around, what makes it so dangerous? Well, it turns out there are these three hidden dangers that kind of work together, like accomplices in a crime. And when they combine, they can turn a small, manageable risk into an absolute catastrophe. Let's break them down.
First up, the most famous, and maybe the most seductive of the three, leverage.
This really says it all. With derivatives, you can put down a pretty small amount of money, say 10,000 rupees, and get to control a position that's worth lakhs. It feels incredible, almost like a superpower. But here's the thing about superpowers, they can be really dangerous.
Exactly. Because your little bit of money is controlling this massive position, just a tiny, tiny wiggle in the market in the wrong direction can completely obliterate your entire stake. Instantly. That's the leverage trap. Huge potential gains, but with the risk of even bigger and much, much faster losses.
Okay, on to our second hidden danger. This one's a little more subtle, but oh boy, is it just as deadly. It's called nonlinear payoff.
So just look at this chart. It tells a really sneaky story. Imagine you've got this strategy and it makes you a little bit of money every single day. For weeks, maybe months, everything is great. You're feeling like a genius. But then one bad day comes along. The loss isn't small. It's not a gentle slope down. It's a cliff. A sudden, massive drop that wipes out all those little gains and a whole lot more.
That's the perfect way to put it. This kind of risk is like a sleeping dragon. It can be totally quiet for ages, making you feel comfortable, making you feel safe. And then it wakes up and destroys everything in a single, fiery breath.
And finally, we have the third accomplice, the one that ties it all together, complexity.
Think about it. When you buy a regular stock, you're mostly just making one bet. Will it go up or down? Simple enough. But with a derivative, oh man, you're juggling multiple bets all at once. You're not just betting on the direction, you're also betting against the clock as time eats away at your value, and you're betting on how much the market is going to jump around. All these invisible forces are pulling in different directions at the same time.
And this is the part that is just so wild. It means you can be 100% right about where the market is going, you can predict it perfectly, and still lose every single rupee. Because those other hidden forces, like time or volatility, were working against you. That's the real trap of complexity.
Okay, so leverage, sudden shocks, and complexity. This all might sound a little bit abstract, so let's look at a real-world story to see how these three villains teamed up. Let's open the case file on the Indian pharmaceutical company Wockhardt.
Wockhardt had a super common business problem. They were making all their money in Indian rupees, but they had these huge loans they had to pay back in US dollars. So that created a risk, right? If the rupee got weaker against the dollar, their loan payments would suddenly get way more expensive.
So they did what any smart company would do. They decided to use derivatives to protect themselves, to hedge against that currency risk. The goal was simply to build a safety net. But somehow, that safety net turned into a trap that nearly destroyed them. How did that happen? Well, it all comes down to this really important distinction. There's a very, very fine line between hedging, which is like buying insurance, and speculation, which is just straight up betting.
And when you start using these super complex derivatives, that line gets incredibly blurry really fast. Without even realizing it, Walkhart stepped right over it.
And just like that, their insurance policy became a massive gamble. Their safety net had secretly morphed into this huge, leveraged bet on which way currencies would move. All those hidden dangers we just talked about, the leverage, the sudden shock risk, the complexity, they were all baked into these contracts, and they all blew up at once.
So after digging into the theory and looking at a real-world disaster, what's the final verdict? What's the ultimate takeaway on why even the experts keep getting this so wrong? And this is it. This is the whole thing. The people at these huge banks and at companies like Walkhart, they aren't dumb. They're brilliant. They failed because they underestimated risks that are designed to be invisible. They're designed to be quiet. They're designed to be subtle, right up until the moment it's too late.
This quote just nails it perfectly. It's not a slow bleed. It's a sudden shock. 1 minute everything is fine, and the next, it's all gone. That's the system failure that those 3 hidden accomplices create.
And that's the thought I really want to leave you with. Because these forces, leverage, sudden shocks, hidden complexity, they don't just exist in some far-off world of high finance. They can pop up in all sorts of places in our lives. So the real question is, are we even looking for them?